We arrived in Kunming at 11:30, transferred to a bus and headed south to Yunnan. Our new guide was also our old guide, Andrew, who was with us 3 years ago. China has been working very hard on alternative power sources. The Yunnan area is well known for its picturesque rice terraces. Unfortunately, it was the first day of December and the days were quite short. We missed the sunset by quite a bit. It was very dark when we got there. The rest of the group were up early to get the sunrise on the terraces and to visit a hill tribe. Myrtle and I begged off because of our ages and spent the morning wandering around the town. Our guess is that this square is the only close to level spot in the area. Orders waiting for customers. A glance at the map gives the impression that from Yunnan to Jinping is not a great problem, but that doesn't consider the topography. We started off on one road, and after quite some distance, were stopped at a police stop saying that the bridge ahead of us was not quite strong enough for our bus. So we turned around and went back, took a second road, and after going up it for some time, were stopped once again, this time by traffic. This was a one-lane road which seems to get used for two, but ahead of us was a truck loaded with bricks, which had rolled, and so the truck and the bricks were blocking the road, as of course was all the traffic that was ahead of us. So we turned around, and about the only place left was down by the border with Vietnam. A bit of construction ahead, but Asian drivers insist on trying to make 3 lanes out of a 2-lane road whenever there's a hang-up. The fancy hotel in Jinping that was reserved for us was out of reach, so we were all booked into the only hotel in Haikou that would fit our party. No complaints there, though. It was quite a reasonable hotel. An interesting feature is where the Vietnamese prostitutes stayed. The hotel breakfast wasn't considered suitable, so Andrew cooked us some in the lobby of the hotel. He'd come prepared with a stove, coffee pot, frying pan, everything needed, as well as cups. A Vietnamese street trader. I'm sure he would have sold you some of the gewgaws, but his main business seemed to be money changing. There seemed to be a steady stream of two-wheeled vehicles crossing both ways, all loaded with unimaginable loads. There was no control whatsoever as far as we could see. The street most were heading for once was used for other purposes. Now it seems to be an unpacking and distribution site. Myrtle's comment was, "What a ridiculous-looking Santa Claus." At the same time, one of the locals was tapping me on the shoulder and indicating that it looked like me. One of them had to be very wrong. Plan for today was to attend a market frequented by two hill tribes. Unfortunately, that was over by Jinping and totally out of reach. We were left with a fairly easy day, so we wandered around the town and tried out this coffee shop. There were some distractions between the street and the garden, and it was somewhat successful, but at the back you could actually get coffee. Back on the road heading north. If you're squeamish, shut your eyes. They're trying to reduce traffic accidents, and the posters can be quite explicit. Mengshi was a tin mining area. In 1909, the French connected it to the coast in Vietnam by a narrow-gauge railway. 4 years later, the Chinese built another narrow-gauge railway, but a different gauge, from Kunming. You had to pay attention where you walked to avoid stepping in the water. By 1938, the Japanese invasion in the north had forced some universities out. They combined 3 faculties, which they settled here in Minji. They stayed until 1946. This pagoda in the middle of the lake provided a quiet spot for students to study. One of them was particularly dedicated and did not stop to eat. Every day his wife carried his meal across the bridge to him, but she was concerned because it would arrive either overcooked or cold. Her solution was to take over the ingredients raw, along with a bowl of very hot soup insulated with a bit of oil. She would use this soup to cook the ingredients, and he would have a good fresh meal. He went on to become fairly famous in the government. He is not remembered, but his wife's noodles are. What would be more appropriate than to try them in a hotel beside the lake? The railway station is actually several miles north of Minji. It has been turned into a museum. I've seen lots of these intravenous bags in hospitals, but it's the first time I saw one used on a tree. A few years ago, these were a common sight in south central BC. We don't see many of them anymore. Overnight in Kunming, and the next morning fly back to Shanghai.